Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to share a rules overview and review of Ice Cool. It's ages 6 and up, 2 to 4 players, and it takes 30 minutes. Let me show you how to play. The goal of the game is to get the most points, and you get points by flicking penguins through these little doorways where they have their fish over the top of them. And then you get to collect one of these cards, these fish cards, that are worth either 3, 2, or 1 points. For game setup, there's a whole bunch of little series of boxes here that are all stacked together when you open up the game. And you connect them. It's pretty easy. They have a color system where you just put the little, in the openings where the dots are the same color, you put those together. And then on the sides, they have spots that look like they have a clip on them. You put the white fish over their spots to put it together. We have a 4-player game set up here. And on each round, 3 players are in class and they're trying to leave to go and get a fish snack. And one person takes turns being the hall monitor each turn. And so if you're one of the fish that's in class, you get to put your color of fish over the 3 doorways that have a little fish icon. All of the players get to pick a reminder card and an ID card. There is either gender of penguin on here, so if that matters to you, you can pick a boy or a girl penguin. The first catcher is whoever most recently saw a penguin, and then everybody else, they start in the kitchen, everybody else starts in the classroom, and the person to the left of the catcher gets to go first. So in this, it would be red. You would take these completely out. Red would start on the red dot. And they recommend you practice flicking a bit before you play your first game. There is certainly an art to it. There are different ways to go about doing it. There are instructions in the rule book that are very handy. But basically, you anchor your thumb down and then you push the penguin forward. And sometimes it goes in the corner. Sometimes you get amazing shots and it curves around. But if it moves off this red dot, your turn is over. There's no miss hits. And then it would be the next player's turn, which is yellow. They can go either direction. And I'm actually going to try to do it with my right hand, a little bit upside down and backwards here. There we go. He made it through. And they each take their turns. And then it is the catcher's turn, and they do not have a little dot starting spot. They just need to start anywhere within these red lines. So they could go right here and decide to go for green because that's the easiest shot at this point. And their job is the runners are trying to make it through and get their fish, and the catcher is trying to tag them. Whoop. He shot and came back. That'd be it for his turn. And then you just keep on playing in the order that you've played. Red, yellow, green, and then blue. Notice red is sad in this little corner. If your player is not within the red, on or within the red lines, you get to move them to the nearest spot. You don't get to move them wherever. You can't move them over to here or it'd be an easier shot. You get to move them to the nearest spot before you go again. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Red has claimed one of its fish and has gotten 1 point for doing so. It has been tagged by blue, which means blue gets to collect red's ID card, but the round isn't over for reds. Red still gets to go around and collect fish. Red just doesn't have to worry about getting tagged by blue anymore. And for the record, if red runs into blue, that is the same as blue running into red. It doesn't matter who runs into who. If the catcher touches one of the runners, then the ID card is collected. So now it's red's turn again, and let's talk a little bit about different flicking techniques and going through the door. They go through this in the rule book, but generally, in order to flick, You can choose to either have your thumb down and touching, and you can go straight behind the penguin, and that should make it go straight. If you flick it on the side that you want it to turn to, with practice, you can make it do some fancier shots where it turns as it moves and even go across or around much of the board if you hit it just right. There also is a way to flick it at the very top of the head, which will make it fly over. It'll go straight up and it'll fly over walls, which is completely legal and okay to do. However, if this player did that and went over this wall, they would not collect the fish. In order to collect the fish, you have to go all the way through the doorway. And by all the way, they mean you can't go, sometimes it goes here and it gets stuck right here. You do not collect a fish for doing that. Sometimes it has to go, it's okay if it goes all the way through and then all the way back if you manage to spin it and so it comes back. You've gone through the doorway, you're not trapped, you'd get to collect the fish. So let's go ahead and show Red's turn. Red made it through, hooray! Gets to collect this fish, and they collect another card. At this point, right away, they can, because they have 2-1 cards, you notice there's 2 skates down here equals another flick. You get a bonus turn. It's kind of a bummer if you're getting just the lowest value cards when you collect fish. So what they've done is you get another turn out of it. So if these are usually face down, you would flip it up if you want to claim your extra turn. They're over here, so they can move it over. And I'm going to try a left-handed flick. Oh, you made it through. Hooray. And he would collect this and collect the final fish card. Now, the round ends in one of 2 ways. It can end when someone has collected all of their fish. The round would be over. That would have ended the round. The other way is if there are still, if he hadn't collected it and was still over here, if Blue, the catcher, had been able to tag both green and yellow and everyone's ID cards had been captured by him, that would end the round as well. But the way the round ended here, what you do then is if you have, and this would be face down, people wouldn't know what he got for that, but these would stay face up. You still get the point value for them, but you use them for an extra turn. So you resolve the ID cards at the end of a turn. The catcher has 2, so they would get to draw 2 of these cards. And they don't show them to anybody, but they get to take a look and see, ooh, they did very well. And then the other players, red doesn't have any, so they wouldn't get to draw any. Yellow still has their ID card, so they would get a fish card. And green does too, so they would get 1. And at this point, the catcher returns the ID card, so everybody starts with, like they did the last round. And now, you just go clockwise. It would be red's turn to be the catcher. These 3 would get to be the runners this time. So the catcher would take their fish out and put in the fish for the runners. And gameplay would work the same way. Yellow would get to go first this time. And they would take turns, flick once, and try to go through and collect your fish. And so it'd go yellow, green, then blue. And you continue to play and until everybody's had the turn of being the catcher. And then you just tally up how many points you have, and whoever has the most is the winner. There are just a few rule alterations for a 2-player game. In a 2-player game, each player takes a turn being the catcher twice before you tally up your total score and end the game. And also, if you're the catcher, you have to catch the runner twice in order to end the round. They can still end the round by collecting all 3 of their fish, but if you're the catcher, you catch them once, you get their ID card. So if you caught them over here, you'd get their ID card. And we have red, so we'll put it over here. Red's the catcher. And then the runner would go back in the classroom, and you would get to proceed from there. the runner, the next time the catcher catches the runner, they don't get any additional value besides just ending the round of play. So that's how to play Ice Cool. The target demographic for this game is it is a family game, but one that specifically younger kids seem to go nuts for. The rule complexity is low to medium. It's pretty easy to pick up. However, the dexterity required to be able to flick the penguins to where you want them on the board requires both practice and a level of expertise that clearly I do not possess. It can take a bit to get that down. You can have a fun time playing the game even if you don't have that down perfectly, but it takes a lot of practice to get really good at this game. How competitive is this game? Medium to high. I mean, you have the hall monitor penguin chasing around other penguins and trying to tag them, and it feels like somebody is coming after you and trying to get you, and somebody can target you specifically to get. But then it seems like it isn't too bad because everybody has their turn as the hall monitor, which helps quite a bit. And also, it's just so fun to be flicking the penguins around on the board that it isn't, even though it's competitive, it just retains such a fun factor. Because of this, the replay value is very high. When we first got this at my house, my 3 older kids played this so much. I took this to a board game camp and kids went nuts over it, so which is really fun to have a game that just has that appeal. If you like this game, similar games are Goat Slingers is much easier, but basically you have a catapult and are trying to flick goats up onto a mountain, and it's strangely addictive. And then finally, Rhino Hero Super Battle, you are building like this giant house of cards and battling over who gets to be at the top of it. So very fun, very good. We love Ice Cool, and I hope you check it out. Thanks, and see you next time from Game Like a Mother.